Hi, welcome to Let's Read Aloud. Today's book will be a Ladybird Junior Science book, Lights, Mirrors and Lenses. Just take a moment to appreciate this. Two lovely children reflecting a mirror onto paper. We'll find out how to do that later. Oh, that's pretty. Isn't that pretty? Oh, look at all the things around the outside. Here is a list of the few articles you will need for the experiments in this book. You will probably have most of them. An electric torch, small mirrors. I'm burping all over the place. What a great way to start. An electric torch, small mirrors, a magnifying glass, old spectacle lenses, convex type, a shaving mirror, a piece of glass about 12 inches by 12 inches, a candle, coloured and clear cellophane, a glass tumbler, a glass jar, a medicine bottle, a pencil, a ruler, a tennis ball, an empty tin, plasticine, a few pieces, a coin, a comb, a reel of sticky tape, some toy soldiers, some watercolours, 2 cardboard boxes, an empty cotton reel. Well, were you checking off the list? I'm not sure what I do have, but, let's do it. Oh, there seems to be a bonus page here, so I'll read this bonus page. It says, did you know that white light is made up of all the colours of the rainbow? With simple instructions and wonderfully coloured illustrations, this fascinating Ladybird Junior Science book not only shows you how easy this can be proved, but also explains how light can be bent to see round corners, reflected, used to magnify, to cast shadows or project an image on the wall, how essential light is to life, and how your own eyes work. All the materials used for the experiments and models are simple, safe, and easily obtainable. I'm excited. There's a lovely little illustration here of this girl. Look at her making a little duck out of her hand. Bless her. Illustrations by J.H. Wingfield. I mean, they're quintessentially of the period, aren't they? The period being first published 1962. If anyone would like to buy this book, you are most welcome. This is in my pile of I don't know what to do with these books, so I thought I'd read them aloud. It's very pretty, although I do have grubby fingers, so maybe I should clean my hands before I read. Nah, it's part of the appeal is well thumbed. Light and darkness. The children in the picture went into a room in the early morning. They knew there was a bowl of apples on the table, but even though their eyes were wide open, they could not see them because it was dark. Just have to... Good old Edith. Look at that. Look at that beautiful thing. Isn't that a lovely picture? I like that. I could turn that into a postcard if no one wants it. You could buy the postcard. Think about that for a moment. Dark means no light. When we go into a room and say that it is dark, what we really mean is that no light is reaching us from anything in that room. Without light coming from something to our eyes, we cannot see it. We only see when light enters our eyes. The girl drew the curtains a little, and light came into the room. Some light, which fell on the apples, was scattered throughout the room, and reached the children's eyes. Then they could see the apples. We say that cats can see in the dark. That's not really true. The fact is, cats and other animals which hunt at night can see better than we can in poor light. If it is absolutely dark with no light at all, even cats cannot see. In this book, we're going to find out something about light by doing experiments and making models. We shall find out how light behaves when it strikes mirrors and lenses, and how we make use of its properties. But even the scientist does not yet fully understand exactly what light is. Do they now? That was 62. Yeah, 62, well remembered, Reese. There is a little bonus illustration of a cat in the darkness. Yeah, I like this sort of. It's not quite a circle, isn't it? It's well done, Edith. Yeah, I think you called it Edith. No, illustrations by J.H. Wingfield. Where did I get Edith from? Eyes. Look carefully at your eyes in a mirror. You'll see a coloured circle, blue, brown or grey, in the white ball. The coloured circle is the iris, and the small black circle in the iris is the pupil. The pupil is really an opening, which looks black because the inside of the eye is dark. You see, when light goes through the pupil and falls on the special screen at the back of the eye, called the retina, a picture of what you are looking at is formed on the retina. You can get some idea of how an eye works with a model. You need a glass bowl, such as a goldfish bowl, full of water. Make a small hole in a piece of cardboard to represent the pupil of the eye. Stand a lighted candle a short distance away from it. Switch off the light or draw the curtains to darken the room. Now hold a piece of white paper behind the towel. Now hold a piece of white paper behind the bowl on the opposite side of the candle. To the candle. Read properly, Reese. Move the paper about until you see the candle on it. The candle will appear smaller and upside down. This is called the image of the candle. If we made a perfect model of the piece of white paper, the piece of white paper would be stuck onto the side of the bowl, which represents the eyeball. The retina is very sensitive and can be damaged by too much light. That is why you must never look directly at the bright sun with the naked eye. Watch your eye in a mirror when you shine a torch into it for a second or two. The pupil will close automatically to protect the retina. This is great. Look at these pictures, man. Isn't that wonderful? There we go. Look at that. They've got much nicer fingernails than mine. That's a lovely image. And also, there's a little diagram where you can see the pupil. I mean, it's ironic to read out the word focus when it's completely out of focus. Then you've got the pupil, the focus muscle, the optic nerve, the lens, the retina, a jelly-like substance, and the iris. That's a pretty little book, this, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Shadows. We have found that darkness is where there is no light. When something stops light falling on a surface, it forms a shadow. A small naked torch bulb casts a sharp shadow because all the light comes from one place. A shaded light casts a shadow with fuzzy edges because the light comes from all over the shade. We all know how to make bright animal shadows. Why did I insert the word bright? We all know how to make animal shadows with our hands held between a bright light and a wall. You will find that the shadow is biggest when your hands are close to the light, and it is sharpest when the shadow is made by a small bright light. Sometimes we can see the shadow of the earth cast on the moon, which is about 240,000 miles away. This is called an eclipse of the moon. We see the moon because the light from the sun is falling on it, and an eclipse of the moon occurs when the earth happens to come between the moon and the sun and stops the light from the sun from reaching the moon. If the moon comes between the sun and the earth, it may cast its shadow on the earth's surface. If you happen to be in that shadow, you will see an eclipse of the sun as the moon passes across the sun's face. Not all shadows are black and grey. You can make coloured shadows. Cover the fronts of 2 torches with different coloured cellophane, such as red and blue sweet wrappings. Stand a small object in front of a sheet of white paper and shine the torches onto it. You will see 2 coloured shadows and a different coloured background. Repeat the experiment with other pairs of colours and see the effect. Now, this is lovely. I like the fact that each picture demonstrates 2 different experiments going on in situ. I like that, as opposed to just one of each. That's the same image, and there's 2 people, possibly this boy and this girl, both experimenting with light at the same time. And also, there's a lovely little diagram of the sun and the earth and the moon. I like this book, it's sweet. It's the sort of thing, I used to love reading these sort of things when I was a kid. And these pictures are just exquisite, man. Making a pinhole camera. A pinhole camera works because light travels in straight lines. To make a simple pinhole camera, you need an empty tin, a piece of tissue or grease-proof paper, and some thick brown paper. Cut out the closed end of the tin and stick the tissue paper over one open end and brown paper over the other. Make a pinhole in the middle of the brown paper, and there is your pinhole camera. Hold it with the hole towards the window. Cover your head and the tissue paper end of the tin with a dark cloth, and you should see a picture of the window. The picture you see will be upside down because the rays of light travelling in straight lines from the top and bottom of the window will have crossed as they pass through the pinhole. The diagram at the side shows how this happens, which I will show you very shortly. To make a better pinhole camera, you need 2 cardboard boxes which slide into each other. A box with a deep lid is ideal. Cut out a square from the bottom of the box and cover with brown paper. Then cut off the opposite end of the lid and cover it completely with tissue paper. Make your pinhole in the brown paper as before. You will again need to cover your head and the tissue paper end with a dark cloth. You can change the size of the picture by sliding one box into the other. The cloth over your head is necessary because very little light comes through the pinhole and the picture is not very bright. See what happens if you make more than one pinhole or if you make a large pinhole. This is nice. I like this. Again, 2 experiments going on at once. This, well done, Edith. Oh, I see the sellotape, the scissors, the pin. Oh, it's telling me everything I need to know. And look at her. She is loving it. Either that or there's like some sort of face-hugging monster on her face, which, you know, could happen. And then, I don't even know what this is. This is the image of window on tissue paper at near end, light rays through pinhole at far end. She's doing that experiment, so she isn't being hugged on her face by an alien. Such a shame. That would have been a good twist, like an M-Lan Shyamalan. That's so not his name. Seeing round corners. This is classic. Fix a small mirror upright in some plasticine on a piece of white paper. Darken the room and shine a torch through a comb so that you see rays of light on the white paper. See what happens when they strike the mirror. They are reflected. turn the mirror slightly and the direction of the reflected rays changes. Because light can be reflected in this way, you can hold a mirror round a doorway and see round the corner. That is how a periscope works. The commander of a submarine uses his periscope to see what is happening on the surface. You can make a small, simple periscope with 2 small mirrors and a ruler. Fix the mirrors at the ends of the ruler with plasticine, setting them as in the picture. Put something on the table as the boy has done, which I should be doing these at the same time. I'm going to, afterwards I'm going to do all of these and I'm going to edit them in. And if I've done that, then you'll have already seen them. So seeing me have the idea will be satisfying in some way. Or maybe I just won't do them. I mean, you can do them and send them to me, and then I will splice them in. Kneel down, holding the ruler upright with the top mirror over the edge of the table. Adjust the mirrors carefully until you see the object on the table in the bottom mirror. You have made a periscope. The light from the teddy bear in the picture strikes the top mirror and is reflected down into the lower one and is again reflected into the boy's eyes. You can make a better periscope by using a cardboard tube with the mirrors firmly fixed inside and 2 square holes cut in the tube opposite them. Oh, I see. So the 2 experiments going on here are the boy doing it and the girl doing it. But she's doing it better. Naturally. See, she's doing like the full on. She's gone to the trouble of finding that tube. He's just gone, I got some plasticine and a ruler. Let's see what I can do. But she's going for it. Oh, what's really nice is just the detail of that bear. Just the bear and the bear saying hello. And this is the little comb thing. That's a torch shining through a comb and bouncing the light. Very nice. What's next? Images. The teddy bear the boy saw in the bottom mirror of his periscope is called the image of the teddy bear. I'm going to burp. I don't know where that came from. Dinner. The picture on the screen of the pinhole camera is an image. In a mirror, you can see your own image. If we use 2 mirrors, we can get images of images. Hinge 2 small mirrors together with sticky tape and stand them on the table as in the small diagram below. Place something, such as the toy Indian, in the angle between them. Look into the mirrors and see how many images there are. Close up, the mirrors slightly close up the mirrors slightly and see what happens to the number of images. As you continue to close the mirrors, watch how the number of images grows. Unstick the mirrors and set them up with dabs of plasticine exactly facing each other and put the Indian in. Why is it an Indian? It hasn't even mentioned the Indian. I mean, it has in the picture, but has it mentioned? Oh no, such as the toy Indian. I wasn't paying attention. I was just reading aloud. I mean, this is reading aloud. You know, that's all I'm doing. I'm not thinking or engaging with the text. Where were we? Okay, yeah, put the Indian in the middle. Look over the top of one mirror into the other, and you will see a line of Indians stretching away from you. These are images of the one Indian. With 2 narrow mirrors of the same length, you can make a toy called a kaleidoscope. Hinge them together down 2 long sides with sticky tape and join the open sides with cardboard. Paste some thin tissue paper over the bottom of this triangular tube. Put a few coloured beads and scraps of coloured paper down the tube. Hold it over a light. Look down the top and you will see a pattern like the one in the top corner of the picture, caused by reflections in the mirrors. When you shake the kaleidoscope, you will get a new pattern. So first of all, I'm going to show you this little images of Indians looking at Indians. It looks like they're just sort of gathered around like a campfire, doesn't it? And then this, again, 2 experiments, both going on in situ. They've literally got nothing better to do, have they? She looks so happy. Look at her little smiling face. That is a smile of happiness. I mean, these were the sort of experiments you did when you were a kid. Like, I remember water was another thing that I used to play with all the time at the kitchen sink. Water. Or, you know, a little bit of fire play. Everyone's played with fire when you were a kid. Over the kitchen sink, preferably. Although then things smell weird afterwards and you're like, don't tell Mum. But she's going to find out anyway. Smell that. How do I get rid of the smell? That happened. Through the Looking Glass. Oh, that's very adventurous and poetic for a chapter title. I'm assuming these are chapters. I mean, they're a double-page spread long, but, you know, when you're a kid, that's a chapter, man. Through the Looking Glass. Stand in front of a wardrobe mirror and look at the carpet. Okay, I'm doing it. Stand in front of a wardrobe mirror and look at the carpet. You will see exactly the same amount of carpet pattern between the image at your feet and the mirror as there is between your feet and the mirror. This shows that your image is as far behind the mirror as you are in front of it. You can find where an image is by a simple experiment. Put a sheet of white paper on the table and set up a mirror in the middle with plasticine. Stand a tin soldier or something small about 6 inches in front of the mirror. Tin soldiers and Indians. I mean, it's so 1962, isn't it? Stand a tin soldier or something small about 6 inches in front of the mirror. Make sure there is as much paper behind the mirror as in front. Lay a ruler on the paper pointing towards the mirror. Kneel down and looking along the edge of the ruler, move it until it points straight at the image, just as if the ruler is a rifle you are aiming at the image of the soldier. Like that. I don't have a ruler. Maybe I do have a ruler. I'll be able to do these later, depending on whether I want to. When your aim is exactly right, hold the ruler firmly and draw a line along the edge right up to the mirror. Aim at the soldier's image from several other points until you have 3 or 4 lines ruled on the paper, all pointing to the mirror. Rule a line on the paper where the mirror is standing and draw a ring where the soldier is standing. Take away the mirror and the soldier. Continue the lines with the ruler until they meet behind the line where the mirror was. This is the point where you saw the image of the soldier. Measure the distance from the mirror to the spot where the soldier stood and to the spot where the image was. These distances should be the same. Okay, I'm going to have to show you the picture because I've barely looked at the picture and I'm sure the picture makes it make complete sense. So what's he doing? What she's doing, they're working on one massive bit of paper. I mean, where'd you get a piece of paper that size? Okay. I mean, I almost don't care about that experiment and working out the logic of it, because that just looks beautiful, isn't it? Like, Edith, man. No, I'll find out your name again. I'm terrible at remembering names. Look, I mean, that's so beautiful. You got a little reflection in this toy soldier here in the mirror. She's getting on with shit. Maybe I shouldn't say shit because she's a girl. Shh. Not a girl, but like a young'un. So's he a young'un. Look at his little ear. And look, that is just genius, isn't it? I mean, I'd definitely get that as a postcard. But then the only problem is, you'd have the next page on the back of it. Pepper's Ghost. I mean, come on. This is getting dark. I mean, look at this dark image. That's dark, man. For a book about light, that's dark. I don't know what's going on in that. And Pepper's Ghost sounds awful, doesn't it? It sounds like when shit gets real. Don't say shit. The kids are listening. You do not have to use a mirror to see an image. You can see one in a plain sheet of glass. You will have seen your image in a shop window or in a glass-fronted bookcase. A glass-fronted bookcase. I love it. All the time, glass-fronted bookcase. This is the secret of a famous old stage trick known as Pepper's Ghost, invented 100 years ago. You can make a simple form of Pepper's Ghost yourself with a piece of glass and mystify your friends by showing them a candle which seems to be a light in a glass of water. You can see how it is done by looking at the picture and at the little diagram. The pile of books represents the side of the stage. The glass, which must be clean and polished, is set up on edge with 2 dabs of plasticine. The glass of water is moved about behind the glass until the candle appears to be a light inside it. You want a black book or a piece of black cloth for the background. Darken the room to get the best effect. In the stage version of Pepper's Ghost, an actor moves about at the side of the stage and out of sight, where you have the lighted candle. His image, the ghost, moves about the stage, seeming to walk through objects. The audience cannot see the glass from their seats, and the ghost is very real to them. When Pepper's Ghost appears on the stage, the actor appears to be left-handed. Can you think out why that is? Move your hand in front of a mirror and see which hand your image moves. Think that out. What felt really weird then is that the actor appears to be left-handed. What if he's left-handed? He'll appear to be right-handed. I don't think actors were allowed to be left-handed in 1962. Just making social judgments here. So now this picture makes a lot more sense. I see what's going on. I just saw that as really creepy, but I understand now. It's a candle, a light in a glass of water. I mean, that's kind of cool, man. And then there's a little diagram to show you the stage magic. See, what's interesting about this is that the girl does feature, but she, for the first time, features in the little diagram. There is no children in this dark Pepper's Ghost experiment. There are no children. Oh, okay. The boy is doing something on his own this time. It involves pouring water into a dish, looking down a ruler at a penny inside the water. Oh, there is another experiment going on. It looks very separate. I'm assuming it is. There's a bottle. Hang on. Okay, we'll get there. It is pretty, though. It's pretty to look at. Bending light. I mean, that just sounds like a book unto itself, doesn't it? Bending light. We have found out how the direction of a ray of light is altered when it strikes a mirror or a polished surface. Rays of light also bend in another way. Soak an empty medicine bottle so that the label comes off and fill it with water. Add 4 drops of milk. Put the cork back and shake them. Just put the cork back in the medicine bottle and shake the bottle. Put a sheet of white paper on the table and lay the medicine bottle on its wide side. Oh, I like wide side. Lay it on its wide side. Cut a slit in a piece of card and hold it over the front of a torch so that only a thin ray of light shines. Darken the room and hold the torch so that the ray of light strikes the side of the medicine bottle. Look carefully at the ray of light. You will see that it bends. It changes its direction as it goes into the water. This is the secret of the disappearing coin trick. Oh, hang on. That's like a new paragraph, which means that these things aren't connected. So this is that experiment, basically. This is, look at it bend. Let's bend the light. Look carefully at the ray of light. You'll see that it bends, changes its direction as it goes into the water. So then next, this is the secret of the disappearing coin trick. And put a penny in the bottom of an empty bowl and stand it on the table. Look at the penny along the edge of a ruler, and when you can see it, lower your hand a little so that you can just not see the coin. Keep quite still while someone pours water into the bowl. Gradually, the penny will come into view. The light coming from the penny to your eye is bent. Rays of light coming from things under the water bend when they pass through the surface. This makes swimming pools and clear rivers seem to be shallower than they really are. A pencil standing half in water seems to be bent. Try it and see. So this is our full image there. So this is his experiment where someone else, unseen, let's assume it's, we haven't given them names. Maybe she's called Edith. Maybe she did the illustrations, definitely. She's pouring water into a bowl, penny, looking down a ruler, it's all there. And we've also got, I love these like little add-on. That's just a pencil and some water. We've all seen that. We've all been there. I'd say, I mean, we're well over halfway through the book, just so you know, just so you get a sense of things. Lenses. Fill a jam jar with water, add 2 or 3 drops of milk, and stand it on a sheet of white paper. Produce rays of light from a torch. Oh, okay, there is more to this. Produce rays of light from a torch shining through 2 slits in a card and see what happens when they pass through the jam jar. They bend and come to a point on the far side. The jam jar full of water is a water lens, which makes the rays of light come together or converge. Rays of light bend in the same way when they pass through glass. Glass lenses are used in many different ways in everyday life. There are lenses in spectacles, cameras, magnifying glasses, telescopes, microscopes, binoculars. See if you can think of some more. Alright. Well, it's pretty extensive, that list. I mean, spectacles, cameras, magnifying glasses, telescopes, microscopes, binoculars. I mean, you've covered all bases. See if you can think of some more. Projectors? Okay, moving on. There are 2 kinds of lens. A lens which is thicker in the middle than at the edge is a convex lens, like your jam jar or a simple magnifying glass. A lens which is thicker at the edge than in the middle is a concave lens. You will need lenses for the next few experiments. Perhaps you have a magnifying glass or an old-fashioned circular spectacle lens which your parents might be able to find. Ask them to take the lens out of the frames. You may have a torch with a useful lens in it. That's nice. It's telling you where you might find a lens. These are our convex and our concave lenses, standard. And this is our little jam jar experiment to see the light converge. It's a nice word, converge, isn't it? Converge. But we're going to need some lenses for this next thing. We've been forewarned. This is called Burning Glasses and Spectacles. There's fire. There's actually fire in this experiment. Yes. The sun's rays can be brought to a point or focus by a convex lens to produce a very bright spot of light, which is, in fact, an image of the sun. The heat rays from the sun are also brought to the same focus. With a convex lens, you can concentrate enough heat in one spot on a bright summer day to scorch a piece of paper. You can even light a campfire, which is why a convex lens is sometimes called a burning glass. I had no idea that a convex lens is sometimes called a burning glass. Did you? A goldfish bowl is a convex lens, as we found out on page 6, and it could set a house on fire. I mean, don't put that in a kid's book, you'd be terrified. If the bowl is on a windowsill in direct sunlight in summer, and the focus happens to fall on a curtain, it could set it alight. But all goldfish keepers know that goldfish should never be left in bright sunlight. Well, that's nice. It's a nice little avoid a fire type thing. Actually, hang on a minute. One of my other books, I think it's in this pile that's propping up my microphone. I'm sure that happens on like page 3 or something of the story. A common use for lenses is, of course, for spectacles. Your eyes contain a special lens. See diagram on page 6. So we've already seen that. Which helps. So this is for the like. This is cool. I had not noticed this. The kids are getting older. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, they were kids. They were small, man. They were little tiny kids. And now, he has definitely grown up. And look, they've grown up because they're playing with fire. Oh, Edith, man, you're a genius. So, where were we? Oh yeah, we've already seen. So what I was saying is, this is for those excitable kids who see like fire happening, and it's almost like, no. Go back to page 6. Look at the diagram. We are telling a story here. Don't just come for the fire. Come for the deducation. That would have been really smooth if I used the proper word for education. Education. Anyway, moving on. See page 6, which helps to form the image on the retina. Sometimes, for various reasons, the image does not fall exactly on the retina of the eye, and then a person does not see clearly. An optician tests and examines that person's eyes to find out what kind of lenses are needed to correct his vision. These lenses are fitted into frames to make a pair of spectacles. Nearly every pair of spectacles is different, and often the two lenses in one pair differ. Some spectacles have two lenses in one, so that they can be used for seeing long distances and for reading. These are called bifocal lenses. Lens making is a highly skilled craft. I bet it is. Even now with like machines, surely like getting a lens like perfect. It's that's glass, man. That started off as sand. I mean, I'm sure I'll find another book for kids about how glass is made. In fact, I did have a glass book. I think I've sent it off. It was about glass making. Blowing glass, that's it. So let's just have another look at that little... She's actually cooking... Well, she's getting ready to cook some sausages. I mean, 1962 has arrived, hasn't it? She's a fledgling woman wanting to cook, and he's a man on his hands and knees making a fire. I mean, I'm sorry, Edith. I thought you were cool, but you're just reflecting your times. And this is just someone at the optician looking at ADZVOSMRGBHTV0. No, I thought Edith had gone the full whack and tried to write them really small, but they've deliberately They've deliberately left it as nonsense. Or maybe it's not my art. Maybe it's... No, that's deliberate nonsense. Unless my eyes are going. Next page is fat lenses and thin lenses. We shall only be using convex lenses in our experiments in this book. Lenses which are thicker in the middle than at the edge. Some convex lenses are very thick and others are slender. If we are to use lenses, we must know one particular thing about them: their focal length. Fix a convex lens upright with plasticine. One moment, I think I've got a convex lens. I was expecting to get up and pause the video, get up, go rummaging for hours. Literally, in the drawer beside me, I have a convex lens. An actual convex lens. Maybe they were... Oh, there goes my... Oh no, look. I can do some... Ooh. Yeah, man. I could do some experiments. What's this saying? Oh no, it's about making... Oh, look at that. It's big. It's big and it's there. Hello. Hello, shadow. Anyway, I am amazed that I actually have a convex lens just hanging around. Who has a convex lens just hanging around in the drawer beside them while they're reading a book about lights, mirrors and lenses? That's astounding. Where are we? Fit a convex lens upright with plasticine on the zero marker of a ruler. Aim at the window or an electric light. Aim at the window or an electric light in the far corner of the room, as in the diagram. Hold a piece of white paper upright on the ruler and move it backwards and forwards until you see a sharp image of the window or the light. Read off the measurement on the ruler exactly where the card is. Okay, so you can see what's going on. This is our boy making... Maybe those are pictures of when he was a kid. God, she's thought about this, hasn't she? This is do you remember that time when we went swimming? This is the first time we've seen... Oh, maybe that's his sister. What is she wearing? That's like a bathing costume and a bathing cap. Do people wear bathing caps? No, they do. I've seen people wearing bathing caps. But that colour scheme... Purple and yellow. I don't know why I have an opinion about that. Apparently I do. Okay, and stick it to the... Read off the measurement. That's where I got to. The distance from the lens to the paper is the focal length of that lens. Chubby lenses... It's not called a chubby lens, is it? Chubby lenses have a short focal length. Thin ones have a longer focal length. Find the focal length of any other lenses you have. Note each measurement on a small piece of paper and stick it to the edge of each lens. When you know the focal length of a lens, you can make a simple projector to throw a picture on the wall. Cover the front of a torch with tissue paper and fix a piece of cinema film over it, upside down with sticky paper, and so that light only passes through the film. Darken the room and hold your lens in front of the torch at about 1.5 times the focal length. When the lens is at the right distance, you will get an enlarged image of the film on the wall. You will find that the picture will be upside down if the piece of film is the right way up, so film is always put in the projector upside down. And then we have also, as well as our beautiful thing, we also have a how to do things kind of picture, which is about measuring. I see. I mean, I sort of understood anyway, but yeah, that's our focal length. That's about how much distance has to between. That's about how much distance there is to be. You get the picture. or the image. Making a toy camera. The first step in making... Maybe they're not growing older. Maybe that was literally just, here's one for slightly older kids making fire. Because they look... I don't know whether... Maybe they're different kids. No, they're all blonde-haired, blue-eyed. It's very Aryan. 62. What's that? Wingfield. Oh, I liked it when I thought it was Edith. Good old Edith. Making a toy camera. The first step in making a toy camera is to find the focal length of your lens. Set it at the end of a ruler, as you did in the previous experiment. Put a lighted candle on the table and hold the lens about 4 feet away from it. Move a card up and down the ruler until you see a small image of the candle. The distance from the card to the lens will give you roughly its focal length. You will probably be able to use the pinhole box camera you made on page 10. Remember that? Provided the 2 parts slide apart to the focal length of the lens. The 2 parts of the cardboard box which slide together must fit so that no light can leak through. You can use 2 fitting cardboard tubes instead. Cut off the bottom of one of the boxes or tubes and cover it with tissue paper, fixed with sticky paper around the edge. Cut a hole in the opposite end about 1/2 inch across. Fix the lens here with a ring of plasticine or sticky tape. Focus the camera by sliding the boxes in or out until you get a clear image on the tissue paper. The image, of course, will be upside down. In a real camera, which there's a little picture of, I'll show you in a moment. In a real camera, the film goes where you have the tissue paper. It is covered with a chemical substance which is affected by light. The shutter over the lens is only open long enough to let in just sufficient light to affect the chemical on the film and make the image permanent. This film, with the image on it, becomes the negative. So, here is our 2 experiments. One classic Ladybird Edith image. This boy, yeah, he's got a cat. Honest. They've got a cat. We haven't seen the cat. The cat's just like been magicked into existence. They had a teddy bear before. I feel a bit cheated that the cat wasn't involved in their life up until the point when it was needed. I would have loved to just see a cat like curled in the background of an image. You're letting me down, Edith, with your 1962 social morals and your lack of cat. And this is our little reel camera. There we go. There's our lens. There's our film on rolls. Lovely. What's she up to? She's sticking some sticky stuff on the sticky thing. Again, I'm not really paying attention to what that experiment was for, but I'm enjoying these. It's pictures more than anything. They're beautiful. Like this one is cracking. Making a microscope. You've seen that a convex lens can throw a large image on the wall or a small image on the film of a camera. It can also be used as a simple magnifying glass. Hold it very close to the object you want to examine and not too close to your eye, and move the lens towards your eye until you see the object very much enlarged. A magnifying glass like this is useful for looking at foreign stamps, small pond creatures, insects, and most small things of interest. This is great. Is that... I don't know how to... hello. I don't know whether this is... It's sort of working. Hello. Not even funny, Reese. For looking at very small things, you need a microscope which has 2 lenses and magnifies in 2 steps. The lens nearest the object forms a magnified image, which is magnified again by the other lens. If you have 2 convex lenses, I've only got one. If you have two convex lenses, you can make a microscope. One lens should have a short focal length, about 2 or 3 inches. The focal length of the other should be longer, say 4 or 5 inches. Set the lenses up on a ruler with plasticine so that their distance apart is equal to twice the focal length of the thick lens, added to the focal length of the thin lens. For example, if the thick lens has a focal length of 2 inches and the thin one is 4 inches, set them up 2 times 2 plus 4 inches, which is 8 inches apart. I mean, that maths obviously works in practicality. Look through your microscope at some small object with the thin lens nearest to your eye. I love the choice that this boy has made of what to look at. No, he's definitely growing up. Those are good legs. Those are good legs. He's definitely growing up. Moving on. You may need to adjust the position of the lens slightly. A real microscope enables you to see objects invisible to the naked eye and magnified up to about 300 times. Incredible. So obviously there's a picture of a microscope, just in case you'd forgotten what a microscope looks at. And I mean, they're good legs, right? Like, he's getting older, so it's all right to say that. Or maybe he's just one of those kids with like a boyish face, but you know, I mean, I feel terrible now. What's she up to? She's having a great time. She's become very passive now. She doesn't want to play. She's just happy to be there and watch. Maybe they're not brother and sister. Maybe they're like childhood sweethearts, and she's slowly falling for this boy who he's going to become a scientist. And she liked the science, but because it's 1962, she is just twiddling her hair. That is literally what she's doing. In fact, she's pulled out one of her hair. She's pulled out her hair because she's waiting to look at it under the microscope. That is great. That is attention to detail. He, however, has chosen a ladybird, so she's literally waiting her turn. Oh, because they've only got 2 lenses. So yeah, maybe she also wants to be a scientist, and she's just waiting her turn because she's polite. Whereas the boy just barges in. I don't know. I feel mixed up socially about this book. Making a telescope. Oh yeah, I want to make a telescope. A microscope is used for examining objects close to you. And pause. Hello, welcome back. That was a brief interlude with which someone walked past, and I thought it would be kind not to put that up on the internet. So where were we with making a telescope? Oh yeah, just so you're aware, this is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at the moon. They look young again. Maybe they're time travellers. Maybe... No, they're not that good at science. I mean, if they were better at science, they wouldn't be looking along a ruler through 2 lenses at the moon. Although, this might be what they made in the future. See these little lab technicians? We'll find out about that in just a moment, I am sure. A microscope is used for examining objects close to you. A telescope is used for looking at faraway things. What a lovely turn of phrase. Faraway things. When a sailor uses his telescope, he sees things the right way up, but the astronomer looking at the stars sees them upside down, because his telescope is slightly different. The telescope you can make will be like the astronomer's with the images upside down. You need the same 2 lenses you use to make the microscope, one with a short focal length, the other longer. You simply add the focal lengths together and fix the lenses on the ruler that distance apart. This time look through the thicker lens, so you put that one at the end of the ruler nearest to you. Look at a distant object and adjust the further lens slightly to suit your own eyes. That's what's going on in that pretty picture. Looking through a lens at faraway things. Beautiful. The invention of the microscope and telescope more than 300 years ago, from 1962, led to discoveries of immense importance. With their powerful microscopes, doctors were able to see the very tiny organisms which cause disease and discover how to fight them. Scientists used the microscope for their research. The powerful modern telescope enables the astronomer to see further and further out into space. That's lovely. Nothing makes you want to become a scientist like reading a kid's book on science. No, they are definitely older. Okay, we'll find out. Maybe not. They're still at school. He's wearing school uniform, but he looks funny. Edith, you have surpassed yourself. I mean, let's look at this picture. Look at this. Look at her reflection and look at his reflection. That is genius. Isn't that great? That's such a beautiful picture. See what I mean about them being... I can't tell their ages. She's still wearing a headband. I don't know whether that reflects age. But he looks so cheeky. Oh, there it is. Look at him. Look at his little grubby face. And look at her big wide smile. I love doing that thing on the tube where you look in the mirror and you like sort of do this and try and make your mouth massive. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? You're on the tube and it's convex or concave. I should know by now. I've been reading light mirrors and lenses for at least an hour now. Curved mirrors. We have found out some of the things we can do with flat mirrors. Now let us find out about curved mirrors. A polished spoon is the simplest form of a curved mirror. The inside is a concave reflector, the back a convex reflector. Look at your own reflection in the inside of a large polished spoon, moving it up to and then away from your face. Then do the same with the back of the spoon. What do you notice? I'm gonna do this. Give me a mo. This is the shiniest spoon I could find. Oh look, isn't that great? And then the opposite. I mean, it's not particularly the best thing to do for the benefit of camera, is it? So, oh yeah, look, I'm upside down and I'm little, and now I'm big and thin. Big and thin. Hello. That's nice. You won't see anything exciting. You just see lots of pretty colours. That is a polished spoon. Who am I? Reese Witherspoon. Oh, I've used that so many times. When you look into the inside of the spoon, your face appears large when it's close and small and upside down when you hold it away from you. Looking into the back, your face always seems to be small and the right way up. Sometimes there's a convex mirror on the sitting room wall in which you can see all the room, of course. Sometimes there's a convex mirror on the sitting room wall. You know, why not? I mean, is that a thing? Sometimes there's a convex mirror on the sitting room wall in which you can see all the room. Really? A car driving mirror may be the same kind to show the driver as much of the road behind them as possible. If your father has a concave shaving mirror, ask him to lend it to you. Put it in the sun. Oh, I have one of these. Put it in the sun and hold a piece of white card in front of it, where the rays are brought together into a small bright spot. The distance from the card to the middle of the mirror is its focal length. Now stand the mirror on a table in a darkened room and put a lighted candle at the focus. Move it about until you get a bright spot on the wall. You have made a model searchlight. A real searchlight, a car headlamp, or a torch has the light at the focus of a concave reflector to throw a narrow beam of light. At the fair, it is a large concave and convex mirror which gives you those amusing distorted reflections. Just at the fair, you know. I'm sorry, I just spotted her tiny little feet. Look at her tiny little feet. Oh, silly. Oh, we're almost at the end, guys. We're gonna go looking at the moon next. I feel like I've missed a page. No, we're at the chapter title, Looking at the Moon. A concave mirror instead of a lens was used by Sir Isaac Newton 300 years ago to make the first reflecting telescope. Ever since astronomers have used reflecting telescopes to look at the stars. The largest in the world, at Mount Palomar in America, has a reflecting mirror 200 inches across that is 16 feet 8 inches. Newton's was only about 4 inches across. The famous radio telescope at Jodrell Bank in England has an enormous concave dish which reflects radio waves instead of light waves. I wonder how much of this information still exists. Whether the largest in the world is still Mount Palomar in America, and whether the famous radio telescope at Jodrell Bank in England, which has an enormous concave dish reflecting what radio... I don't know. It says it's famous, but I've never heard of it. But maybe I would if I was in 1962. You can make a simple reflecting telescope with a concave shaving mirror, a lens, and a small flat mirror. Choose a clear moonlit night and take your apparatus outside. Stand the shaving mirror on a windowsill or on a garden table pointing to the moon. Hold the small flat mirror so that you can see it in an image of the shaving mirror with the moon in the middle. Now look at that reflection with your magnifying glass and you will see a magnified image of the moon. That is how a reflecting telescope works. If you can borrow a good pair of binoculars, you can study the moon. The best time is at half moon when you can see the craters and the so-called seas on the moon's surface 240,000 miles away. It's a beautiful faraway thing. I do feel like you're repeating yourself slightly. We're looking at the moon again. I feel like you could have easily picked something else. I mean, that and that are pretty similar. I mean, maybe it's... And they do look like the same age. I think she did that picture, our Edith. I know it's a man. I think it's a man. I can't remember. How can I not remember this person's name? I have checked several times. Right. I'm going to go look for that name one more time. Illustrations by J.H. Wingfield. Doesn't say whether it's man or a woman. I mean, it's by F.E. Newing and Richard Bowood. I sort of feel like it's of that period of time where if you had initials, you were trying to hide something. Anyway, this is a little diagram of the various components involved in this beautiful experiment, which I didn't quite comprehend, but you know. Oh no, he is getting old. I mean, unless no, it's definitely still him. His back is. It's got a good back. I mean, I'm allowed to say that. No, he's definitely getting older, I think. She has a little ribbon in the back of her hair now, rather than a massive hairband, which I feel like is some sort of... She's getting older. They look funny holding their balls, though. We'll get there soon. The moon. What is moonlight? It is not light produced by the moon. Moonlight is light from the sun, which strikes the moon and is scattered or reflected. Part of this reflected light reaches us on the Earth, and that is what we call moonlight. The shape of the moon appears to change because it moves around the Earth. You can find out how this happens by an experiment with a torch and a tennis ball. Stand in a darkened room with your back to a torch, arranged so that it shines over your head. Hold a tennis ball in front of you and higher than your head to be in the light of the torch. The torch is the sun, your head is the Earth, and the ball is the moon. You will see the half of the ball facing you completely lighted up. This is full moon. Make a quarter turn, like the girl in the picture, so that you are standing sideways to the torch. You will now only see half a side of the ball lighted up. That is half moon. Now turn another quarter so you're facing the torch. The side of the ball you see is in darkness. That is when no moon is seen from the Earth. A complete turn round with the ball will show you all the changes, or phases, of the moon, which occur in little more than 4 weeks, which we call a lunar month. He is looking old. I kind of feel like this book would have been very cool if they'd kept with this you're getting older, you're trying new experiments vibe, but it feels a bit inconsistent, so I don't think it's intentional. But there's some great things happening. I don't quite understand how these two experiments are working at the same time. Like, is that a table? Oh yeah, they're sort of on the floor, and that's a tabletop. Anyway, that's our little experiment, and here's our moon with all the craters and seas. I do believe... Oh my god, I thought we were at the end. I literally thought we were at the end. And there's some pages. There's not many, but it's an old book, so they were hiding. We will get through this. If you're still listening, well done. The stars. All daylight comes from the sun, which is 93 million years away. Not years, miles away. Think of that for a moment. Think of 1 mile, then 100 miles, then 1,000 miles, then 1,000 miles, and finally 93 times that. Right, I'm just going to take a moment. I'm thinking of a mile. I'm thinking of 100 of those. And then 1,000 of them. And then 1,000 miles. And then 93 of those. It's a long way, isn't it? It's out there somewhere. Light travels this enormous distance in about 8 minutes at the incredible speed of 186,000 miles a second. The sun is a star and is the nearest one to us. The next nearest very bright star is Alpha Centauri. The light from this star takes 4.5 years to reach us, even though light travels at 186,000 miles a second. Think of that for a few moments. Alright. So, Alpha Centauri. Right, light is travelling that quickly, 186,000 miles a second, and yet it takes 4.5 years for the light of Alpha Centauri to reach us. That is a long way. Stars are so immensely far away that astronomers do not measure distance in miles but in light years. A light year is the distance light travels in a year. That is something else to think about. The stars we see, some of which are millions of light years away, form unchanging patterns, and some of these patterns, called constellations, have names. It is a help in recognizing constellations if you make a constellation viewer. Get a star chart or a piece of or a picture of the constellations in a book and trace one on thin paper. Put the paper on a postcard and prick the stars through the card. Mark each pinprick with a cross and write the name of the constellation on the card. That's pretty cool. On a starlit night, hold your card over a torch and the card will show the constellations as spots of light. With this, you can find the real constellations in the sky. I love that these are probably the first words that are in this book. They're looking at the sky, and can you read that? It says Pole Star and Big Dipper. Or Ursa Major was the Big Dipper. It's a lovely picture. It's very romantic, though. I don't think they're brother and sister. I think they're childhood sweethearts. Because they're looking at the stars. They've learned all about science. She cooked him sausages. They played with their balls. Light and colour. The geologist finds out what the Earth is made of by chipping off pieces of rock and examining them in his laboratory. The astronomer who studies the stars is not so fortunate. He cannot chip pieces off a star. He has nothing to work on but the light which comes from it. Because light from a star is very faint, the astronomer has to collect as much as he possibly can, and so the huge reflecting telescopes are built. The light collected in the 200-inch reflecting dish is passed through a special instrument called a spectrograph. This splits up the light from a star into various colours, called its spectrum, and by studying this spectrum, the astronomer can find what substances the star is made of. I've never thought of that for all those distant stars, and studying the faraway things, all you've got to go on, really, is the light. It's like a light-based science. There is literally nothing else you can use apart from the quality, the size, the strength of the light coming from the cosmos. It's literally just a study of light is astronomy. Crazy. You can split the sun's light into its colours quite simply. Put about an inch of water in a flat dish. We're about to see a picture of this. It's nice. In fact, we've already seen this really, but he's there. She's taken over. Good girl. It's basically the front of the book, but she's taken charge, which I'm enjoying. She needs to take charge. You need to fight the patriarchy, lady, and stop wearing ribbons in your hair. You can put about an inch of water in a flat dish and lean a small handbag mirror at one end. A handbag mirror, okay, that's a thing. That is a thing. I'm being stupid. Do you carry a mirror in your handbag? Yeah, of course you do. I don't have a handbag, so it's like I'm from 1962. Why don't I have a handbag and a handbag mirror? We're supposed to be gender fluid, guys. I'm going to get myself a handbag and a handbag mirror. Arrange the dish so that the sunlight falls on the surface of the water. The light will go through the water and will be reflected by the mirror. The light that comes out will be split and will show bands of colour on the ceiling, the wall, or a sheet of paper. This is a spectrum. A spectrum is also formed when sunlight falls on cut glass, raindrops, and on the edges of mirrors. The spectrum formed with raindrops is, of course, the rainbow. And here we go. There she is, getting on with it on herself. He's gone somewhere else. She looks like the same age though. There's no age changing in this. I may have displayed paedophilic tendencies by finding his legs attractive. We're not talking about it, right? The spectrum. In the experiment on the previous page, you made a band of colour from sunlight. The colours come from the white light of the sun, and in their proper order. The colours of the spectrum are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. You notice that the colours merged gradually from one to another. This breaking up of white light into the colours of the spectrum was discovered by Sir Isaac Newton, who realised that the white light is really a mixture of colours. He also discovered that if the colours of the spectrum were mixed, he got white light once more. You can prove this by making what is called a Newton disc. Cut a circle of cardboard about 6 inches across and divide it into 7 sections. Paint these sections with the colours of the spectrum as above, and in that order. Mount the card on a cotton reel and put a pencil through the hole and through the card. This is a top. Spin it fast and you'll see the colours merge together and the cards seem to be white. In fact, it will probably be grey because the colours from your paint box are not the pure colours of the spectrum. Fine. Purity. Oh, I've just realised, so for the last 2 pages, I thought I might have forgotten those little diagram pictures to show you, but they have disappeared. But on this page, we do have little Isaac Newton doing his thing. There he is. And this is making a wheel. She's wearing lippy and rouge. I mean, I'm not making that up, am I? She's wearing lippy and rouge. Or she's just got insanely red lips. Yeah. I mean, that's a doable experiment. As I say, if you want to buy this book, I can't put a price on it right now. It might end really badly. It might be like an M. Shyamalan. I wish I could remember his name. M. Night Shyamalan. This one's harder to open. Why is that? Oh, there's a slight binding of the book is. It's very slightly been. Look, you see the binding of the book is. Anyway, doesn't really matter. It's an old book. It's like that page had never been opened. Maybe this is the first time this page has ever been read. I mean, 1962, man. That's 40, 50. That's some years. What colour is it? Why does a leaf look green or a red motor bus look red? A motor bus? What a strange... It's a motor bus. Or a red motor bus look red? You might think that a silly question, but a scientist often has to ask questions which seem obvious. Shine a torch onto a red book and hold a piece of white paper so that the light from the book is reflected onto it. The white paper is tinted red. It is no longer white paper. Why? Although all the colours of the spectrum were in the white light from the torch, only the red was reflected from the book. The other colours were absorbed by the red colouring of the book. In the same way, a green leaf appears green because it absorbs all colour except green, which it reflects. Here's an interesting experiment with colour. Draw an elephant like the one in the picture. Paint a green howdah and mahout on the elephant's back. I'm assuming those are the... Was that like general knowledge? Howdah. Howdah. I mean, I sort of know what it is because there's a picture, and the mahout. But I don't know which one is the driver and which one is the thing that goes on the elephant's back. But it feels weird that that's like general knowledge. That, you know, that stuff that goes on the back of an elephant. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I've just never encountered it. Anyway, paint them green on the elephant's back, but do not outline it. Now paint the rest of the elephant red. Cover the end of a torch with green transparent wrapping. Darken the room and shine the green light on your picture. You will see the elephant clearly, but the howdah and mahout will almost disappear. The reason is that the white background and the green howdah reflect the green light, so they merge together. Try it with red transparent paper over the torch. So here's our little experiment. So it's showing you what to draw, the howdah and the mahout. Which way round is it? I really want to know now. That's the experiment in full, and in true light mirror and lenses Ladybird classic fashion, she's doing the red book. Her experiment is so much more boring than his. Does she know? She looks well, no, she doesn't look. Literally, I couldn't think of a picture where she looks less interested. She's just looking at it. She's not taking any. She doesn't have an opinion about what she's up to. She's just doing it. She's doing it because a book told her to do it. She's read this book. Although if she read the book, would she be really freaked out? Would she be like, why am I in this book? Optical illusions. Have you ever made flicker pictures? A dozen pieces of thin card or an old notebook is all you need. Draw a pin man with his arms by his sides. A pin man? A stick man or a pin man? Maybe a pin man, was just as popular as a stick man. I mean, they're definitely talking about... Well, who knows? Who knows? Maybe a pin man was a stick man? Anyway, drawing is really not important. I don't know why I'm stopping for every little moment. Draw him again, pricking the paper to mark the position of his head and feet, for he must be in exactly the same place and the same size. This time move his arms up a little. Keep on drawing him with his arms moving up a little more each time and then down again. When you flick the pages through, the figure will come to life. How does this happen? On page 24, we found out about images being formed on the retina of the eye. These images do not disappear immediately. They last for a fraction of a second. When you flick the pages, the images overlap, and the motion of the pin man seems to be continuous. At the cinema, about 25 different pictures are shown every second, so we see a continuous movement. An interesting optical illusion is the canary in the cage. Get a piece of white card about 2 inches square. On one side draw a bird cage, on the other a canary. Fit this card into a slot made in a short piece of a stick, preferably round. Roll the stick backwards and forwards between the palms of your hands as fast as you can. The canary will appear to be inside the cage. Oh, she looks really happy now doing that. She's ecstatic. She's really happy that canary is in that cage. What she doesn't realise, of course she does, because she's a fledgling scientist, but what she doesn't know is that canary isn't in the cage, it's an optical illusion. And what's he up to? He's doing his little pin man. Pin man, man. I'm going to start calling stick men pin men. Oh my god, are we there? Hang on, let me double check that. I think this is the last. This is it, guys. This is the last page. There is one right at the end, but it's just spoilers. It is exactly the same as that. It's the same. This is the last page. It's called Light and Life. That's profound. Light is essential to life. You can show by an experiment what happens to a living thing when it is deprived of light. God, no wonder this is on the last page, and they are pretty much adults. Or at least at secondary school. They're going to kill something. You can show by an experiment what happens to a living thing when it is deprived of light. Ask to be allowed to experiment with a plant in the garden or with a pot plant, preferably one with broad leaves such as a geranium. Cover a leaf on both sides with black paper. Cover another with clear cellophane. Leave them for a week and then take off both coverings. You should find that the leaf which was covered by the black envelope is pale and unhealthy looking, while the other is normal. You may wonder why you had to cover a leaf with clear cellophane. This is what is called a control in the experiment. It made sure that it was the absence of light which affected the leaf and not the fact that it was covered. I like this. It is the light absorbed by the leaves of a plant which causes the changes which must take place if it is to grow. If there is no light, the plant will not develop. All plants struggle for light, and in a forest there is little growth on the ground. In the dark jungles, the trees grow tall in their efforts to reach the light. Flowers on a windowsill turn to the light. You feel better when the sun shines after dull days. We need light and warmth just as plants do, and without light we are pale and sickly. In fact, light is so vital that without it there would be no life at all. Here's that lovely experiment out in the garden, feeling happy, having grown a little bit and then gone backwards in time and then gone forwards in time, become scientists, invented the telescope, popped back just to do this experiment with some geraniums. Isn't that lovely? Lovely bit like that. Just so you're aware, here we are. There he is. I think his name should have been Ted and Edith. Good old Edith. She made some lovely pictures for this book. Well, who would have thought, eh? I've just noticed that at one point, it literally, at one point this book was 5p. It's a 5p book. I mean, I could sell it for 5p. If you want this for 5... Well, the auction starts at 5p. If you would like to buy this beautiful little copy of Lights, Mirrors and Lenses, a Ladybird Junior Science book, then you are most welcome. If not, then I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Read This to Me, because that's what I'm going to call it. Read This to Me, and I'm going to put it on the internet, and then I can read other things to you if you like, but only little things that actually, even this tiny little book. Oh no, look at the binding. No, see, that's why the auction starts at 5p, because that Lights, Mirrors and Lenses, it's almost beautiful because of it. Anyway, read this to me, and maybe you can just give me some suggestions, or maybe I'll just continue to go through all these books that have no other use, like Need to Know Heroin. For everything you need to know about heroin. What I'd love if these guys appeared in this book. That would be pretty cool. So yeah, maybe I'll read that. Who knows? But thank you for listening. And adios.